Story 1. I have seen some foreign retailers already send out notices by email stating that postal shipments to the United States are indefinitely on hold. They will cancel such orders to prevent the shipments from getting stuck. Only express courier shipments are allowed, which is a significant additional cost for small shipments. Politics. Small international businesses are going to be greatly affected by this move, but I suppose that is the whole point. Story 2. My wife crochets as a hobby and loves the yarn from a company in Denmark. She can no longer buy it. Meanwhile, quality yarn at local stores is increasing in price because it is still imported, but it is not as good. Not being able to buy yarn for a hobby is not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But imagine if the options of things you want to buy are suddenly reduced and replaced by worse alternatives that cost more. That is the world we live in, and it is frustrating. Story 3. It is important to note that the other carriers did not just do that because they were being mean. The United States made a rule but did not tell anyone how this was actually supposed to work in practice. International logistics is complicated and often finely tuned. You cannot just add a step somewhere in the process based on assumptions. If the United States government had told carriers to continue as normal and that United States Customs would take care of the new tariffs in the United States, things would have been fine. However, the United States government does not have the manpower to do so, so they tried to make it someone else's job with only a few days of warning. That did not work. It turns out that the de minimis exemption existed for a reason. Trying to collect tariffs on such small value parcels would be more trouble than it is worth. Story 4. It's going to seriously hurt many small businesses, including the small custom ice skate maker in Alaska. He buys his machinery and parts for those machines from Europe. They do not make them in the United States, so now he has to pay to get any part he needs express shipped from Europe, or his machines will not run. Then, moving into healthcare, many specialized machines are made in other countries. Story 5. I am a digital artist, and other artists I follow are losing a significant portion of their customer base and merchandise manufacturers because of this. Most have resorted to discontinuing items or selling digital merchandise, which is a major blow to their income. Overseas customers are also very upset. This situation is truly terrible for small businesses. Story 6. I think many Kickstarter projects are going to have difficulties. I just received a package from the United Kingdom a few days ago, but the situation with others is uncertain. I have supported several projects from other countries and know many from outside the United States that were backed by Americans and are going to face challenges. This is really going to hurt small independent creators. Story 7. It will harm small businesses that rely on international imports and just-in-time shipping. Large corporations should be fine because they operate at a container scale. This is working as Donald Trump intended to support the financial interests of his associates. Story 8. I am a healthcare worker, and when I worked in surgery, I would read the packaging of the equipment used for surgeries. The implants used for enucleations or eyeball removal are made in Mauritius. I am pretty sure propofol is not domestically produced either. Story 9. Australia Post has sent notices to all business customers stating they are not forwarding to the United States. Donald Trump seems to have missed that uncertainty is as much a trade and investment killer as tariffs, also known as import taxes. Story 10. UPS handles approximately 400,000 packages per day into the United States, which represents about 2% of its global average daily volume. DHL Express handles around 2.6 million deliveries per day to North America. This is going to be so much fun. Story 11. You do not see much of a fight because the media is not covering it. There are mass protests. There are people marching every day. There are people trying to get it done all over the country. There is also a whole class of people with a ridiculous amount of money buying the silence you are seeing. Story 12. Expect shelf inventory to shrink significantly, prices to increase exponentially, and people to pay high prices for anything that is not from the United States. This is the main goal because this administration believes it is the 1950s, with the United States being dominant in everything and globalism not existing. Story 13. We just cannot stop winning with this uninformed person in charge. Story 14. Is there no limit to the amount of damage this person can do? It is like a crack in the ice that keeps expanding outward indefinitely. 100 years of international goodwill destroyed in 7 months. Story 15. Oh my God. That sounds like such a mess. So basically, we are going to be paying more, waiting longer, and maybe not even getting cute little overseas packages at all anymore. It feels like shopping from abroad is about to turn into a total headache. Story 16. I run a software company that builds shipping software. We have spent the past couple of weeks waiting for the new reporting requirements, only to find a large percentage of clients are canceling shipments to the United States out of fear of what will happen. This is not just small business. 90% of business-to-consumer shipments currently fall under the limit, and we have no idea how this will be implemented. We are the people companies turn to for handling these issues. At the moment, we just shrug and tell them to wait and see. We are based in the United Kingdom, so we are used to random customs complications, such as those related to Brexit and Northern Ireland Windsor, but this is on a whole other level. Story 17. The art of the deal. A pet rock would make a better president. Story 18. It is surprising how wealthy individuals take advantage of others repeatedly, yet people continue to admire them. Story 19. It is remarkable that on a planet with 9 billion people, one man can essentially say that one large group of people cannot trade goods with another large group. Story 20. Thailand has suspended all mail to the United States, including first-class letters, which should not be subject to de minimis. They have not been able to get confirmation from the United States that those are exempt and would not be subject to $160 per letter. Story 21. We are becoming North Korea, but with false Christianity instead of false communism. Story 22. It looks like the United States will maintain its isolationist stance and then complain when the rest of the world innovates and treats the United States as the drunk, crazy racist uncle. Story 23. I have a delivery on the way from Italy. I will be very upset if it is delayed. Update. I have received 3 separate emails indicating that my package will be delivered before 2 p.m. today. I just got another email saying, your package is pending release from a government agency. Once they release it, your package will be on its way. I notice how the delivery service now uses all capital letters, similar to our former president. Story 24. No more Christmas and birthday packages from the grandparents. Makes me pretty angry. Talk about the war on Christmas, Republicans. Story 25. This is going to negatively impact many small businesses that ship products internationally. Story 26. It means we cannot retrieve our belongings. Congress needs to assert its power. Supporters of the Republican Party, every one of them. Story 27. I have been supporting small fandom businesses in Canada, the United Kingdom, and South America by being a regular customer. I buy merchandise such as clothing, pins, and prints. These are small companies run by artists and creatives who receive a significant portion of their business from Americans. Half of them have stopped shipping to the United States entirely. The other half are figuring out how to navigate tariffs and the end of the de minimis exemption, resulting in increased prices for United States customers only. Policy changes have prevented me from supporting small businesses and have prevented them from receiving my support. Isolationism has consequences in such an integrated global market, and the effects are already affecting us. I did not want this. I do not think any of us did. Story 28. Those carriers and stores that use them will no longer ship to the United States indefinitely due to tariffs. Story 29. How about Americans visiting floating supercontainer ship malls in international waters? This could be the start of the cyberpunk age. Story 30. The holidays are going to be challenging. Spirit Halloween is already having issues getting certain items in stock, and they are one of the biggest retailers in that space. People will adjust if they cannot get the perfect costume. You can be Ariel next year. Let's do a bedsheet ghost now. But Christmas is going to be difficult. Hallmark sent out their holiday catalog with a disclaimer that all the prices were outdated and would be changed, and that was months ago. There will likely be shortages of the little things that make the holidays bright, like Christmas lights, trees, decor, and holiday sweaters. There may be some options on shelves, but not as many as people are used to. Higher demand will mean these items sell out faster than usual. This does not even account for toys, especially video game consoles that are imported from overseas. It is beginning to look a lot like Christmas Scrooge's version. Story 31. I guess I am not getting that package from my family in Germany anytime soon. Story 32. Since the original poster could not provide a source, here is a relevant article from The Independent about global mail carriers and the suspension of tariffs in the United States. Story 33. I have been taking a common over-the-counter medicine for more than 20 years. I went to reorder it from Amazon, and it is now out of stock. I found another off-brand from a different manufacturer and ordered a one-year supply because I do not know if this medicine will be available or affordable for me in a few months. Story 34. I will be honest, this means nothing to most Americans. They can easily ignore this, act like it does not affect them, or assume people are lying about it. They will not be able to connect the 2 or 3 dots to any policy or any one person who caused all this. If Donald Trump needed to make everything we buy 2 to 3 times more expensive, he must have had a good reason to do so. Curse those Democrats in control right now. Just imagine how all these other countries were taking advantage of us. This is all sarcasm except for the true parts. These people have been so manipulated they cannot assess new information in a sane or rational manner. Story 35. My niece owns a clothing boutique in a very high-traffic tourist area. She has been very successful in her first 4 years. This could harm her store. Story 36. What does this mean for Americans? You have reached the final stage of the situation. Things are going to cost you more, you will have less choice, and inflation will start to increase. We are in the early stages of a superpower in decline. Story 37. Do not forget to blame all the Make America Great Again voters for this. They are adults who are responsible for all of the mess we are currently in. Story 38. I run a side business repairing chainsaws and farm equipment. I'm screwed. Story 39. We stopped shipping to the United States a couple of weeks ago to prevent any of our United States customers' parcels from getting caught up if they were running late. The problem is not so much the tariffs, but how they are implementing their collection. The issue is that the United States is insisting that all duties and taxes be collected at the point of sale, meaning the website charges customers for them and then pays those to the United States government. Instead, every other country ships delivered at place, where the parcel enters the country via the usual postal service, which then sends the customer an invoice for the duties and taxes owed. The customer pays the postal service, which then delivers the parcel. Most small businesses outside the United States do not have the budget to implement such changes to their websites and keep up with all the tariff changes. Almost everyone I know who retails online has stopped shipping as well. Story 40. Personally, it will mean no more affordable pet medicine. It is usually shipped from England, Singapore, or Turkey. Instead of $20 for flea treatment, it will be $100, but that $100 will probably increase to $150 soon, since it still gets imported. Story 41. I have already seen some international small artists that I follow on Instagram announce that they can no longer ship to the United States because the prices are too high. One of them mentioned that it would cost $80 to ship one small print to the United States. This situation is very frustrating. Story 42. Packages only, or should I be worried about my physical mail to international friends? I literally just joined a postcard subreddit. Internally crying in panic. Story 43. Many cross-border towns in Canada will benefit as Americans have their items shipped to Canadian post boxes. Story 44. According to what I have read, the problem is not that non-United States carriers do not want to ship to the United States, but that their United States partners do not want to have the burden of collecting the tariffs. Story 45. It is not permanent. It is just until the administration clarifies there. But we said words nonsense. That said, it could take a while. Story 46. My job orders a lot from Germany. The company we order from has included tariff pricing. Now, I wonder if we can order at all. Story 47. All small international businesses I support have already stopped shipping to the United States. This will harm small businesses everywhere and may also affect larger businesses. Story 48. It is going to make all imports significantly more expensive. They eliminated the de minimis exemption, which is already problematic, and placed the responsibility on the exporter to prepay the tariffs. This is difficult since the tariffs are unknown until the goods pass through United States Customs, where they are determined upon crossing the border. This change will make purchases from places like Temu extremely expensive, if not completely unfeasible. Story 49. It means thank you, King Donnie, for saving us from our standard of living. Story 50. Honestly, it feels like this whole shipping halt is just the tip of the iceberg. More chaos to come, and who knows how long it will last or what the ripple effects will be. Small businesses and individual crafters really seem to be the ones taking the biggest hit. Story 51. It means we all suffer due to an overly emotional president who does not know what he is doing. This is not how the global economy works, and businesses are not prepared for this type of uncertainty and hostility, so it is better not to do business at all. We use DHL Express International weekly for my job. This will destroy one out of only 3 options we have in international express shipments. Story 52. To quote the preacher from Blazing Saddles, "Son, you are on your own." Story 53. If global mail carriers suspend United States deliveries, it means Americans cannot receive international letters or packages for now. This affects online orders, gifts, and important documents from abroad. People relying on overseas shipments might face delays or have to use different services until deliveries resume. Story 54. It means our government has decided that the United States of America is better off isolated from the rest of the world. In plain terms, it means we are going to get severely disadvantaged. Story 55. It means when you control the mail, you control information. Story 56. It means if you have a hobby like hobby electronics, individual components that used to be tariff-free to encourage small trade are now going to be either significantly more expensive directly from the source, or an intermediary will have to buy large amounts of the components and sell them to you at a markup. This means everything will be more expensive. Story 57. Here is a summary of the issue. Several global mail carriers have suspended deliveries to the United States due to the upcoming end of the de minimis exemption, which previously allowed low-cost packages to enter duty-free. This change has created confusion over new customs procedures, prompting postal services from various countries to halt shipments until further notice. What does this mean for Americans? It is another negative aggravating factor for the United States economy. Story 58. I work at a camera repair shop, and my job is finding parts. For many older cameras, I can only get parts from overseas. However, my orders are being canceled, and they are not shipping to the United States. My boss expects our profits to drop significantly, to the point where we are worried about the future. Story 59. They get to experience life like the rest of the world, where customs tariffs are considered part of ordering goods, not as if items are available locally. Story 60. They are suspending deliveries for a few days or weeks until they determine how to handle the new United States customs policies. They are still delivering packages marked as personal gifts valued under $100. Story 61. Of course, all the prices go up right after I get a raise. This is not good for the United States at all. Story 62. No more Christmas fruitcakes from relatives in the old country. Story 63. It means that they finally understand the trade policy of harming the United States for a pensioner's ego they supported. While companies like Sony previously raised global prices to subsidize the United States market, they cannot do that anymore, as they still will not get their products shipped to the United States. Story 64. It is going to kill hobbies, especially inexpensive ones. Some people will say, so what? But hobbies are important. Story 65. Basically means say goodbye to inexpensive products from overseas for a while. Expect more delays, higher costs, and your Etsy purchase might get stuck in customs. Story 66. I wrote about this on another subreddit called Tariffs. Early last week, I was shopping on the United States website of a small United Kingdom retailer. The item I was looking at was priced at $85, including tax and shipping. I hesitated about purchasing it and finally decided to buy it yesterday. The same item is now $136, including tax and shipping. Their United Kingdom website shows it for $70, which I think means if I were in the United Kingdom, I could purchase it for the equivalent of $70 in British pounds. I can't think of any other reason than tariffs or loss of the de minimis exemption for the increase. Story 67, again, obviously more doubt in the American system. Yes, small business is going to be hurt. Story 68. Other countries' mail services stopped sending packages to the United States because of new tariff rules effective August 29th. The United States scrapped the rule that allowed items under $800 to enter duty-free. Now, every package might incur tariffs and extra paperwork. Foreign postal systems do not know how to handle the changes yet, so they are pausing services. Letters and small gifts under $100 can probably still get through, but regular packages will be delayed, returned, or cost more. If you shop from overseas or run a small business importing inexpensive parts, this will likely be challenging. Story 69. My hobby is completely ruined. I'm probably not receiving the last 2 models I ordered. I can also forget about getting any more martial arts gear that isn't covered in large embroidered labels. I wish it were not so difficult to emigrate. I genuinely wanted to leave the first time he was elected, and now I feel more stuck than ever. Story 70. I have to order one of my prescription medications from overseas because my insurance does not cover it, and it costs close to $250 per month. By ordering overseas, I can reduce that cost to $85, including shipping. I guess I am not taking that medication anymore. Story 71. This is exactly the kind of scenario where market mechanisms fail without proper regulation. Small businesses face asymmetric costs while large corporations can absorb express shipping costs. We need better policy frameworks for handling supply chain disruptions that do not just benefit the biggest players. Story 72. I guess this means purchasing United Parcel Service and Federal Express stock, as anything coming in from those countries will have to move via international courier. I feel for the customs clearance teams within those organizations, as their workload is going to increase significantly. Story 73. It means everything will be much more expensive. We pay the tariff on every good that comes into the United States. It means the United States will have even fewer varieties of all goods, and everything will be limited and boring. It will harm small businesses and make many affordable hobbies become expensive. We will fall even further behind other countries. Story 74. I send packages to my daughter in Honolulu, often from Germany, with items they cannot get there and toys or books for the granddaughter. I am afraid there will be no more for a while. There is only one person to blame for this situation: the lunatic in the White House. Story 75. This is the first time I am hearing about this. It is not going to be good. It is going to absolutely harm all the small businesses that get most of their material from outside of the United States, because we do not manufacture a lot of things because it is not cost-effective and never will be. Story 76. China built an industry to market products directly to United States consumers, and the de minimis exception made it possible. The United States has already lost manufacturing to China, and companies like Shein and Temu were on their way to eliminating retail jobs in the United States as well. I understand that many people dislike Walmart and Amazon, but millions depend on them for a living. Story 77. Only small parcels are withheld due to high import fees in the United States. Contact your president if you want this changed. Story 78. It is clearly the result of biased politics by the current administration. However, anytime anyone dares to say anything, they are banned. Everyone else who speaks out publicly is put on a list and faces direct harassment from the commander-in-chief himself. Story 79. Does this mean I will finally stop seeing advertisements for Temu and Shein everywhere? Story 80. As much as it will hurt small companies, it is justified. Our government has been causing significant problems. If this is what it takes for people to be motivated enough to remove these oppressive leaders, I will accept it. Story 81. It means that the outside world is quicker to react to an authoritarian than the people who see it firsthand. Story 82. Oof. I collect United Kingdom variants of United States comics. My latest order from eBay is at the eBay Global Shipping Hub in the United Kingdom. According to Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer, My $250 order is going to be subject to $80 to $200 in additional tariffs when it reaches the United States. Looks like I collected United Kingdom comics. Story 83. The Taiwan tea company I order from is not shipping to the United States currently. Sad times. Story 84. Global mail carriers suspend United States deliveries amid confusion over new duties. Story 85. It means that some international shipping companies or postal services overseas have paused sending items to the United States. However, this does not mean that people in the United States cannot send mail at all, or that domestic mail is not functioning. It simply means that if you were expecting a package or letters from family abroad, those items might be delayed. For Americans, this is more of an inconvenience than a complete shutdown. Story 86. DGX no longer does international shipments as of last week. This is surprising. Story 87. That means jobs like mine are shutting down because of the uncertainty of whether or not tariffs are going to be implemented. Story 88. For me, it means I am not getting my birthday present from my family anytime soon. Story 89. Well, there goes my anime figure collecting. God, I am tired of the government not getting their act together. Story 90. Prices of many goods are about to skyrocket, and many items will simply be unavailable. Story 91. The end of postal service as we once knew it. If you shut down the United States Postal Service, then mail-in ballots go with it. Story 92. My medicine is 1.5 times the already extortionate price. Story 93. I will tell you what it means to me. I source one of my prescription drugs through a Canadian pharmacy because the cost in the United States is 6 times the price. That is another story. $1,200 for a 3-month supply versus $218 from the Canadian pharmacy. Currently, no Canadian pharmacies are accepting new orders until they figure out how to deal with the new tariffs. It is also unknown how much more I will end up paying once they resolve this. In the meantime, I am worried. Story 94. I live in Canada and sell to the United States of America via Shopify and Etsy. I have grown my business over the last 10 years, and 90% of my customers are in the United States of America. I fear this may put me out of business. I am also 7 months pregnant, so the timing is challenging. Story 95. Nothing good, which is what Americans asked for. Live with it now. Story 96. Prices have increased significantly. Yesterday, I placed an order for 3 small stepper motors, totaling $82. Shipping had 2 options. The first was a DHL service for $13, requiring customs forms to be completed and paid. The second option was $56, which included the $13 shipping fee, $41 for a 50% tariff on goods from China, and $3 for the service of combining the items. This situation means that American customers are facing unfair costs. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.